name is Trinity, and if you are here, you must be here to talk about books. And in today's video, I am going to be talking about 1-star reviews for my favorite books. I will be reacting to them. I haven't looked at any of them, so this is all going to be things that I have not seen yet, and so we'll see how this goes. I do get pretty passionate about the books that I love, so it's gonna be interesting. So I'm going to start with The Burning White by Brent Weeks because I already know that 1-star reviews exist of this book, and I have a feeling that I know what some of them are gonna say. Okay, so there are 271 1-star reviews of The Burning White, making it 1% of the reviews that are online. Okay, so here is a fairly long one, so I'm just going to pick parts of it to read to you. I had such high hopes for this series, but alas, the 11th hour the series pivoted hard to religious allegory where God solves all the problems. Deus Ex Machina rules the day, and the author is more interested in giving you a sermon than an ending that makes sense. I knew this was going to come up. I really knew this was going to come up. And I feel like this is a little true, and I can't argue with the people who don't like this aspect to their novels. And I know that another of my favorite series does this as well. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. And if you guys know, if you guys don't know, I am a Christian, so I like that trope. I do. I think that it makes my faith seem a little stronger whenever you get to see these things play out in real life. But I get it if you don't like it. I totally do. He does say this series seems to follow in the footsteps with other fantasy series with religious themes, Mistborn, Narnia, etc. Yep, I saw that Mistborn connection there. He says it undermines the character arcs that have been building for the entire series and removes all tension from what had been a slow, masterful build-up to an epic final battle. Okay, so I get that. Does that garner a 1-star? I don't think so. But I get if it is something that is completely off-putting to you and you feel like you need to give that 1-star. I just don't feel like that is a fair rating to give something that, you know, it's just, that's my personal opinion. So I can definitely understand why people don't like that. So most of the 1-star reviews are definitely calling out the fact that this book has a religious ending, or this series has a religious ending. And that's basically what everybody is complaining about. Some people say it's very slow, but the writing is really good. Okay, so that went kind of as expected. I knew that people were going to complain about the religious ending of the Lightbringer series, and that is a thing. So if you are not ready to read a book that really pushes Christian values towards the end of the book, then I wouldn't recommend the Lightbringer series or Mistborn. However, it is something that I really find refreshing because it's fantasy, but it is taking my own religious faith and showing me what it could look like, and I appreciate it. So I get that that is not for everybody. I totally understand that that is not for everybody. And a lot of people have been also saying that they loved books 1 through 4, and then they didn't like the way it wrapped up because of that. So, I mean, that's all I'm seeing, is that they didn't like the religious ending. Okay, so the next book that I'm going to do my 1-star reactions to is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. So this book has 6,672 1 stars, leaving it at a 0% of the ratings on Goodreads, which I find quite amusing. Okay. So this review says, World War II light. Half the facts, all the romance. The perfect account of the French resistance for soccer moms out there who don't have time to read quality books. Soccer moms will find this one amazing. I mean, really, who has the time to read boring history? For those who think that this is actually good writing, please don't homeschool your children. I did homeschool my child, and I do love this book. However, do I love it for historical accuracy? No, I like it for the story, which I find absolutely hilarious. Okay, so basically what everybody is saying is that it's not historically accurate. I don't care. I don't care if it's historically accurate. Oh Lord. Okay. So basically, the 1-star reviews are calling out Kristin Hannah for not being historically accurate. And I'm not a stickler for that sort of things or that sort of thing. I really just want a good story. And I get that there's a lot of people who read historical fiction because they like history and they like reading about a certain period of time that they are wholly devoted to. I am not that type of historical fiction reader. So I get it. I think that is a good call out that it's not historically accurate. And the romance, I don't get. I don't get where people thought it was a romance. You read the wrong book. I think no, it's not a romance at all. Is there a romantic backstory, plot underlying some of this? There is a very young girl as one of the main characters who I feel like they read the first part of this book and then didn't read anything else. So you would have to read past where she ends up having this obsession with this guy that she went through a very traumatic situation with to understand that it's not a romance at all. Yet she does pine for him later on when she realizes that she was very dumb in the beginning and very childish in the beginning. This is something that she realizes about herself. So she grows through the course of the novel, and I feel like a lot of these are picking at that particular part of the book, and then they didn't read past it. So I don't trust that anybody who is actually saying that this is a romance novel read past the part where she gets separated from said dude. I say read Life After Life. I DNF'd that book. I hated it. So maybe if you didn't like The Nightingale, read Life After Life. Okay, and then some people are calling out Kristin Hannah for having flowery writing, and she does. She does have flowery writing. So basically, the flowery writing, the people who didn't read past the romance part of the book, because that is only the first quarter of it, and then historical inaccuracies. And I get it. That's totally fine. Also, it's historical fiction. Just pointing that out. It's fiction. So I was going to do this for Mistborn as well, but I feel like we're going to get the same type of answers that we got for The Burning White. So I won't do that one. I'm going to go look up Hood. So again, Hood has 195 1-star ratings, and it's 1% of the reviews. So, I mean, The books that I love getting 1-star reviews seems to be very, very like small amount of people who have actually read the book. So a lot of these say DNF, and a lot of these actually say DNF on the audiobooks. So I can't vouch to that. Yeah, they say DNF, so I don't know why they're giving a 1-star review on a book that they didn't read. I have yet to come across one that isn't audiobook or DNF. Okay, yeah, so Stephen R. Lawhead's Hood. I didn't come across any that weren't issues with the audiobook or people who didn't finish reading it. So I don't think that you should be giving 1 stars to books that you didn't read. I don't think you should be rating books at all that you didn't read. And that is a pet peeve of mine. So coming across 1-star reviews for my favorite books that people didn't read is a little irritating. However, people are going to do what they want to do. That's fine. I don't rate books that I don't read. And so that's pretty selfish and pretty high thinking of yourself to rate a book that you didn't read. Okay, the final book. Here we go. The Empire of Ashes by Anthony Ryan. And again, we are at 0%, and only 35 people have actually said this book is a 1-star. In fact, there's only 1% who've given this book 2 stars. So most people have given it at least 4 stars. Okay, so I'm reading this for the simple fact that I cannot believe this was said. This was a slog throughout the whole read. I used to love Anthony Ryan for his Raven Shadow series, but this one failed to captivate me on a fundamental level. It's not that I don't like steampunk, but the world building is one of the issues here. The setting just doesn't add up very well. The magic system integration with the world just doesn't work very well. And one of the most egregious things about this setting is when during the story, new technologies get invented in a demonstrably bad and unbelievable way. Okay, so that's what it says. I'm going to be the Anthony Ryan fan that tells you the final book in the Raven's Shadow series is not great. It's not. It is good, but it's not great. And the fact that someone is actually pointing out that they loved that book and okay, so I get it. People have objective tastes, and I really would like to know what was great about Queen of Fire that was not great about Empire of the Ashes, or the Empire of Ashes, because that doesn't make sense to me. And like I said, I love the Raven Shadow series, and I am not putting it down in any way, but the Draconis Memoria series is so much more in depth and so much more fleshed out than the Raven Shadow series, and Bloodsong is still my favorite book of all time and will always be. So like I said, I'm not putting down Anthony Ryan's writing at all, but comparing this to Queen of Fire, I just don't understand that particular comparison. Thank God I finally finished and can start something else. This book is an over-reliance on cliffhangers, an overabundance of unimportant tertiary characters with interchangeably confusing names, and absolutely no sense of danger for any of its main characters or their goals. What book did you read? I really want to know. It wasn't this one. The cliffhanger things, though. This is something that is done in epic fantasy all over the place. So, what are you reading? Malice does this. Well, let's just say John Gwynne does this. Sanderson does this. Ryan does this. Lawhead does this. When you're switching POVs, I feel like that is a writing element that you utilize to keep the reader reading. Like you switch the POV in the middle of the action. That happens quite often in many books. I'm reading Scott Lynch right now, and the flashbacks happen mid-action. So I don't think that this is a thing that is uncommon in books, and I really love. So one of the main elements that I really love of Anthony Ryan's books is he will insert like a missive in the middle of the book whenever the story is about to shift. Is that spoilery? It might be a little spoilery, but it will break the tension a little bit, because this is a high tension series. And I love it. I think that they're great. And it gives you a little bit more world building in a way that isn't info dumpy and gives you a clearer vision of what the world is supposed to be like. But that is it for the 1-star ratings of this novel. And the rest of them don't even give an explanation of why they gave it a 1 star. So, you know, like I said, when you compare Empire of the Ashes to the Empire of Ashes, why do I keep saying that wrong? I don't know. To Queen of Fire, I do feel like the Empire of Ashes is a better novel, but I also am one of those, I guess, in the minority of thinking that the entirety of Raven's Shadow is good. Now, Bloodsong is the best of that series, that particular trilogy. However, the duology continuation of the story is very good. So I'm kind of thrown by people who want to compare the Empire of Ashes to the Queen of Fire, but I think both of these series are very good, and I love both of them. Again, no one gave an explanation of why they gave a 1 star to this novel other than a few people, and I am just thrown by 1-star reviews of the Empire of Ashes. And to say it's a slog, there's so much action in Anthony Ryan's books that I don't see how it could be a slog. That just doesn't make sense to me at all. But now that I have a headache from reading all of these reviews that don't make sense in my head, or, you know, do make sense but irritate me anyway, I am going to call it good, and like, subscribe, do all the fun things. I will see you in my next video. Bye.